Section 3 of Chapter 5 is adding and subtracting polynomials. And this is actually quite simple because all you're going to do is you're going to combine like terms when you're adding. Now when you're subtracting, you're going to add the opposite, but once again, once you've changed signs, you're just going to combine like terms. So let's look and see what I mean. You can do this either horizontally or vertically, whichever way is easiest for you. And really and truly, sometimes I do it one way and sometimes I do it the other way. It really honestly doesn't matter. When you're adding polynomials, you're simply going to look for the like terms. You can either put them together or you can just look to see in this polynomial and in this polynomial, what do I have that matches, and then combine them. So the x to the fourth power, it's going to be added to an x to the fourth power. But if there's not one, you're simply going to have the x to the fourth power here by itself. And then you're going to look for any x cubes. There's 3 of them here and 5 here. So you're going to have plus 3x cubed plus 5x cubed. And then that's going to be your 8x cubed. And so you can bring this down. And then you've got 4x and 2x. Bring that down to get 6x cubed. Not a cubed, oh my goodness, just 6x. So do you see that I'm just adding the coefficients, just like we did when we were combining like terms, and the variable stays the same. It's got to stay the same. And then your 2 plus 7 is 9. And there's your resulting polynomial. Same thing happens if you're going to do it up and down, if you're going to do it vertically. The only thing I would caution you of, be careful when you're doing it vertically. If you've got to make sure to line up your variables so that they match exactly. So if you have a polynomial that doesn't have an end term or an end to the fifth term, you would either put a 0 or just leave that area blank, either way. So you can see that I've lined up the fifths, the thirds, the ends, and the constants. So now because we're adding, oops, I didn't put that, that's important. Because we're adding, we simply add the coefficients, 14 plus 2, 16 into the fifth. I actually like this way better, simply because it lines everything up. As long as you've got your terms lined up, it's super easy. -6 and -4, because we're adding, they're the same, and so we add them together and make 10, -10 n cubed. -12 and +8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 4 is the difference because one is positive and one is negative, and the negative number is larger, so -4n. 15 minus 5 is plus 10. Easy sneezy. So a problem that might have something like this in it may say, give me the perimeter of these shapes. And now if you're going to do that, you need to remember that a perimeter is all of the edges added up. Remember, perimeter has the word rim in it, and it means all the way around the edges. So in this case, if you're finding the perimeter of this triangle, you would take your x plus 2, and you would add another x plus 2. So this x plus 2 plus 6x plus 2 plus 4x minus 1. And then you would simply combine the like terms, add them together. You could stack them one on top of each other if you wanted, and that would be fine too. So you've got an x, 2x's plus 4, 4, 5, 6x. And you've got 2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. It's just that simple. Now, be careful if you have like this rectangle. A rectangle, remember, you've got to add not just one of each side, but you've got to get all the way around that rectangle. So be careful to add all 4 sides. So do that real quick for me and then come back. So pause and come back. Did you do it? All right. This is a short video, so do the work that I ask you to do. Okay, so 3x plus 7 plus another 3x plus 7, because we've got because we've got 2 of them, 2 n's, plus 5x minus 1, plus another 5x plus minus 1. All right, so 3, 3, 5, and 5 5 and 5 are 10. 3 and 3 are 6. So 10 and 6 are 16x. And you've combined all the x's. And then 7 and 7 are 14. Negative 1 and negative 1 are negative 2. So now you've got 14 minus 2 would be plus 12. Easy sneezy. Okay, so adding and combining like terms is easy. What happens if you want to subtract? Here we go. Let's look at one like this. Now, subtracting is actually not that difficult once you remember one little step. And that step is, if you're subtracting, it's the same as adding the opposite. And if you're adding the opposite, remember, you're adding the opposite of every single term in that polynomial. So what I do and what I would suggest that you do is don't try to remember, okay, I'm subtracting, because then with subtracting, you're adding the opposite. So now if the signs are the same, you're add. If they're different, you're just change the signs and then just follow the rules for adding. All right? So you're going to change this to an addition problem. And so every single symbol inside there changes. So this now is negative, this one is negative, this one is negative, and this one is negative. All right? So change all of the signs, and then you can go through and just combine them the way they are. So you've got 8 and a negative 2 is 6t to the 4th. You've got 5 and a negative 5. Oh, those actually drop out because they're the same. 5t squared minus 5t squared go away. Then you've got positive 9t minus 1 is 8t. And then a 7 minus 4 is going to be plus 3. Okay? All right. Let's do another one. Let's do this one up and down, because you can do that as well. Oh, dear. Can you still see that? My numbers kind of got scritched. Scritched? Is that a word? I don't think it is, but that's okay. All right. So now we've got... I think you can see these still. There we go. All right. 12x to the 4th minus 15x cubed plus 2x squared minus 9 minus the quantity of 13x to the 4th plus 9x cubed minus 6x squared plus x minus 14. Now, this is one of those cases where you can see I've got the 4th terms, I've got the cubed terms, I've got squared terms. I have only one x. So you can put in here plus 0x to hold that place up here, and then your constant terms. That way you don't try to add a constant with the x or a squared term with an x. So put those over. And now when you're adding these, you don't have to add like you do conventionally where you start at the left and move over. You can start at the right and move over that way. All right? So what you're going to do, because you're subtracting, you're going to add the opposite. So change every one of these signs. Every one. If it's a positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. And once you've changed it, then just follow the rules for adding. Here we go. So 12 minus 13 is a negative x to the 4th, because remember, negative 1, you don't have to put the 1 there, but you do need to have the negative. So negative 15 and negative 9, 19, 20, 22, 20, 24, minus 24x cubed. Positive 2 and positive 6 now. So plus 8x squared. You've got a 0 minus 1 is a negative x. And negative 9 and 14, 9, 10, 4, 5, plus 5, because the 14 is positive and it's bigger. All right? Okay, I have one more big, long, hairy, scary one. This is going to be oh so fun. Okay, here we go. It looks like this. 7a to the 5th minus a cubed b squared plus 9a squared b squared minus 2ab squared plus b minus 18. And from that, we want to subtract, and I'm going to line them up for you. We want to subtract 2a to the 5th plus 3a cubed b squared. Oh, it matches. A cubed b squared minus ab squared. We don't have one of these. So minus ab squared plus 6b. Oh, there's a b. And minus 15. And all of this is subtracted. and I put the parentheses around it to show that the whole thing is subtracted. It's the whole quantity that is subtracted so that we remember to put the negative all the way through there. So let's do it. Once you line them up and get your variables the same, now it's easy because all we're dealing with is the coefficients, right? So this is negative, so this becomes adding the opposite. There's negative, this one becomes negative, this one becomes positive, this one becomes negative, that one becomes positive, and now just add them. Here we go. 7 minus 2 is 5, a to the 5th. Negative and a negative, well, we're not multiplying, we're just adding them. So two negatives together, we're going to add them together and get negative 2a cubed b squared. Because we're not adding anything to this, it stays the same, plus 9a squared b squared. Negative 2 plus 1 gives us a difference of negative 1ab squared. You've got a positive 1 and a negative 6, so negative 5b. And negative 18 and a positive 15, so you have a negative 3. That big old crazy answer, the whole thing is your polynomial. All right, so the trickiest thing is make sure that your variables match exactly. If you're subtracting, make sure to change it to adding the opposite, and then just combine your coefficients by adding or subtracting them based on the rules of addition for your integers. All right, see you next time.